When members of the order first came to Ireland, they found that a mighty Druidic organization existed there.
Members of the order were Druids. They infiltrated the Druidic organization, which was a highly complex one, and slightly, well, not slightly, but considerably different in Ireland from the continental Druids who are described by Caesar in his De Bello Gallicus, the Gallic Wars. Most of his information came from a Druid named Divitiacus, who was living in Rome. And according to Divitiacus, the Druids were the priests and philosophers and astronomers of the Celtic tribes. They were also magicians and lawgivers, possibly priest kings, but he doesn't make that clear. Now, Caesar was particularly interested in the religions of subject peoples, because the Romans believed that if they captured the idols, they had the gods and the people made no more resistance to them. That was one of their techniques of conquering and ruling. It served both purposes. Now, the Druids, according to Caesar, there have been doubts thrown on whether this Divitiacus existed or not. But according to Caesar, these Druids had a great annual ceremony in which they had sacrifices.
Historians nowadays agree with Ben that no human sacrifices took place in Ireland. However, the Irish Druids did have their ceremonies, among which were the celebrating of Beltane at the beginning of May and Samhain in November.
Now, these ceremonies were carried out usually in oak groves. The oak was a sacred tree to the Celts and to a lot of Aboriginal people, or primitive peoples, who saw spirits in rocks and stones and rivers and growing things of all kinds. The name of the oak, the root term for oak is drua, and from drua, from the practitioners under the oak groves, they got the term Druids or Druidi, which was the Roman term for Druids. Now in Ireland, by coincidence, synchronicity, call it what you like, the Druidic order were worshippers of the god of the sunset, the Da Rua, the red god. And a priest of that order would be called a Chela Da Rua, a servant of the red god. And with a very common thing that happens with language nowadays, we drop the first term. We drop the substantive for the adjective. That process has continued all through time in language. So Chela Da Rua became Da Rua, and Da Rua became Drua or Druid. So that's how the confusion arises between the Druids of Ireland, the Druids of the continent. They have the same name, but for different reasons. Possibly a lot of the